There are clowns that make you laugh, and then there's Pennywise, the one who made an entire generation cry. Since his first appearance in 1990, this monster disguised as a clown became pure nightmare fuel. With Tim Curry, he was pure unease and psychological terror. And with Bill Skarsgård, fear returned in a darker, twisted, more disturbing form. For more than 3 decades, Pennywise has changed his face, his style, and even his era, but his goal has always been the same: feeding on fear. So in this video, we're going to look at the evolution of Pennywise, the clown that never dies. But before we start, don't forget to leave your like and subscribe if you haven't already. It helps the channel a lot and motivates me to keep bringing more character evolutions. Alright, let's begin. It, 1990. Before CGI, before loud jump scares, there was a simpler and much more effective kind of horror. Tim Curry as Pennywise. The 1990 version was a TV miniseries split into 2 parts, adapting one of Stephen King's longest and most disturbing novels. The story follows a group of kids in the town of Derry, where children start disappearing one by one. Adults seem to ignore it, but the kids, the famous Losers Club, discover that something evil is lurking, a creature that takes the shape of their worst fears. And its most common form is a clown known as Pennywise the Dancing Clown.
I, Georgie, am Pennywise the Dancing Clown. You are Georgie. So now we know each other.
What's interesting is that even though the series was made for TV and didn't have a big movie budget, it achieved something very few monsters ever do. It crawled into the minds of an entire generation. It didn't just scare kids, it scared adults too. And a lot of that credit goes to Tim Curry. His Pennywise wasn't a monster covered in effects. He was a person. He wore a colorful clown suit with a huge smile, bright red hair, and that friendly voice that made you let your guard down. But in a matter of seconds, everything changed. His face turned serious, his voice deepened, and that intense stare seemed to say, "You're not getting out of here." That was the true horror. The idea that the thing that makes you laugh could also be the thing that eats you alive. Pennywise played with innocence, childhood, familiarity, and twisted it into a nightmare.
Be afraid. You all taste so much better when you're afraid.
The special effects were extremely limited. Makeup, slow camera movements, lights, smoke. But that made it even more disturbing because everything felt real. No green screens, no digital monsters, just Curry, looking straight into your soul with a murderous smile. And even though critics were a bit harsh at first, the audience turned it into a horror classic. It wasn't perfect, but it was an experience. Kids didn't want to shower alone, streets with storm drains became terrifying, and red balloons became symbols of collective trauma. It also had something special, a story about friendship and the fear of growing up. Because Pennywise doesn't just feed on physical fear, he feeds on inner fears too. Guilt, rejection, childhood pain. That's why It returns every 27 years. When children forget their traumas and bury them, he comes back to remind them. It, 2017. 27 years later, yes, just like Pennywise's cycle, the clown returned, but this time darker, scarier, and more inhuman. Directed by Andy Muschietti, the new version of It brought a completely reinvented Pennywise, played by Bill Skarsgård, who literally redefined the character. The story returns to Derry. A young boy named Georgie chases his little paper boat in the rain until it falls into a storm drain. There, a smiling face waits for him with yellow eyes and a sweet voice. "Hi, Georgie. Nice boat."
Hiya, Georgie. What a nice boat. Do you want it back?
1 second later, the boy's arm is gone and the audience is traumatized. Unlike the 90s version, this movie stayed more faithful to Stephen King's dark tone. It wasn't just a scary tale. It was a portrait of childhood trauma, abuse, loss, and how past fears shape who we become. The kids in this version, the new Losers Club, had more personality. Each one faced a different fear: death, illness, abuse, guilt. And Pennywise didn't just attack them physically, he forced them to confront their own demons. Visually, the new Pennywise is a masterpiece of modern design. His outfit is no longer a modern circus suit, but a Victorian-style costume, as if he had existed for centuries. His movements are inhuman, his eyes drift in different directions, and his smile breaks the rules of anatomy. This Pennywise represents more than a simple monster. He embodies childhood fear, that irrational type of terror you can't explain, but that sits heavy in your stomach. The fear of the unknown, of what hides under the bed or in the corner of your room. In terms of effects, the film used a perfect combination of CGI and practical acting. Nothing felt overdone. Everything felt alive, twisted, unpredictable.
This isn't real enough for you, Billy. I'm not real enough for you. Oh, shit.
It wasn't real enough for Georgie.
Every appearance of Pennywise had a choreographed intention to throw you off balance. You didn't know whether to laugh, scream, or freeze. And of course, Bill Skarsgård did something brilliant. His Pennywise doesn't try to seem human. In fact, he makes you feel from the start that there's something deeply alien about him. He's not just a killer clown. He's a creature that enjoys fear itself, that feeds on the emotion of terror. His voice shifts from soft to guttural. His body morphs. His laughter echoes like it's coming from a tunnel. That mix of innocence and malice turned him into a modern horror icon. And the best part, he made a new generation feel exactly what 90s kids felt. Fear of looking into storm drains, fear of red balloons, and fear of smiling clowns. And beyond the terror, this version of it also had heart. It showed how unity, friendship, and bravery can overcome even the oldest fear. Because if Pennywise symbolizes anything, it's this. Fear only has power if you let it in.
Now you're the one who's afraid. Because you're gonna starve.
It, Chapter 2, 2019. It's been 27 years since the Losers Club defeated Pennywise. Each of them moved on with their lives, left Derry behind, and, as happens with trauma, they eventually forgot everything. But in Derry, evil never leaves. It only sleeps. The movie begins with a new wave of disappearances. The cycle repeats, and Mike, the only one who stayed in town, discovers that it has awakened once again. So he keeps his promise. He calls his old friends back to finish what they started. From this point on, It, Chapter 2, completely shifts its tone. It's no longer about the fears of children. It's about the fears of adults. Because when you grow up, your monsters change, but they never disappear. Now the horror is more psychological. Trauma, guilt, the pain that never healed. Each member of the group faces their past, and Pennywise takes advantage of it with incredible cruelty.
I know your secret, your dirty little secret.
He's no longer the clown who just jumps out to scare you. Now he's a manipulator. He knows exactly what to say, what image to show, which memory to bring back in order to break you from the inside. His appearance doesn't change much compared to the first film, but his presence does. He shows up less, but every time he appears, he steals the entire scene. His moments are more theatrical, more symbolic, like when he transforms into a giant figure screaming the group's traumas, or when he floats surrounded by lights, almost like a god of fear. The visual effects here go all in. The film mixes CGI and practical sets to create illusions straight out of a nightmare. There are deformed creatures, closing walls, visions from the past, and even distorted versions of the child actors from the first movie. But the most interesting part of this chapter is the emotional core. Because in the end, it's not really about defeating Pennywise. It's about confronting fear itself, about stopping the escape from what hurt you, accepting it, and moving forward. And that's where Pennywise loses his power. When the protagonist stops fearing him, he shrinks, he becomes small, pathetic, and he dies. Not because they destroy him physically, but because they no longer believe he's real. That detail is brilliant. Pennywise lives off fear, and without fear, he doesn't exist.
Just a clap. I'm the leader of
And even though some fans felt the movie had more drama than scares, the truth is that it closed the cycle in a symbolic way. The clown was defeated, but the legacy of fear, that stayed with everyone. Welcome to Derry, 2025. And just when we thought the cycle was over and Pennywise was gone forever, the fear wakes up once again. But this time, not as a movie, but as an HBO series. Welcome to Derry is a prequel that goes decades into the past to show us how the town's curse really began. This story takes us to 1962, long before the events we already know, to explore the origin of the fear, the corruption of the town, and the presence that has always been there, hiding beneath the surface. This series isn't just an expansion of the universe. It's the birth of the terror that will haunt Derry for generations. From the very first episode, the show makes it clear. This isn't a Pennywise that suddenly appears. This is an evil that has always existed, manipulating the town, affecting its people, feeding on their deepest traumas. It all begins with a boy named Matti, whose disappearance sparks a chain of events that will forever change the lives of Derry's children.
Let me out! Out! O-U-T! Let me out! O-U-T!
Visually, the series keeps the dark, cold, oppressive style of Muschietti's films, But the focus here is different. Less jump scares, more tension, more mystery, more psychology. It's a story that slowly crawls under your skin, showing not only Pennywise, but how Derry itself is part of the monster. Because in this town, evil doesn't only live in the sewers, it lives in the people, in their silence, in their indifference, in what they choose to ignore. And the most shocking thing is that as the series goes on, we begin to understand why Pennywise chose the form of a clown, what it represents, and how a cosmic entity that existed before time found in that image the perfect mask to lure in its favorite prey, children. Welcome to Derry promises to reveal the darkest secrets of the myth, the origin of it, the cycle of terror, and the reason why the town is trapped in a destiny that repeats eternally.
Daddy?
There's my little girl.
And so, over the years, Pennywise has proven that fear never goes out of style. First, he terrified us on television, then in theaters, and now he's ready to return from the shadows with Welcome to Derry. Each version has shown us something different: psychological horror, modern terror, and now, the origin of evil. But in the end, it doesn't matter how many times he's defeated, because fear always finds a way back. And well, that's the end of this video about the evolution of Pennywise. Don't forget to leave your like and subscribe for more character or movie evolutions. See you in the next video.